The auction yard stood at the edge of the dusty town, wide and open under the hot afternoon sun. Wooden posts formed rough lines around the space, and ropes hung loosely between them. The ground was dry and cracked, marked by the boots of many people and the hooves of animals brought to be sold. Voices filled the air, some loud and rough, others low and careless. It was a place where deals were made quickly and feelings were ignored. At the center of the yard was a small wooden platform. The auctioneer stood there, wiping sweat from his forehead as he called out prices. He spoke fast and sharp, as if the words meant nothing. One by one, items were brought forward. Sacks of grain, old tools, tired horses. The crowd reacted with interest only when profit was clear. Near the back of the platform stood a young native girl named Ayla. She was not tall, but she stood straight. Her shoulders were firm, and her eyes were dark and steady. Her hands were tied loosely, not enough to hurt her, but enough to remind everyone that she had no choice in being there. Her clothes were simple and worn, showing signs of long travel and hard days. Dust clung to her boots and the hem of her dress. Ayla had been taken from her land weeks ago. The journey had been long and silent. She had learned not to cry in front of strangers. Tears gave them power, and she refused to give that away. Inside her chest, fear and anger mixed together, but she kept her face calm. She watched the crowd carefully, memorizing faces, reading their intentions. The auctioneer cleared his throat and raised his hand. He spoke about her as if she were a tool. Some men in the crowd laughed. Others leaned forward with interest, not because they cared about her, but because they thought they might gain something cheap. A few bids were shouted, careless and low. Each number made Ayla's jaw tighten. She thought of her mother, who had taught her to stand strong even when the world tried to break her. She thought of the river near her home and the quiet nights under the open sky. Those memories kept her steady. No matter what happened here, she would not bow her head. At the edge of the crowd stood a cowboy named Luke. He was not there for the auction. He had come to town for supplies, planning to leave before sunset. Luke was a man of routine. He worked his land alone, spoke little, and trusted few people. His hat was old, his coat faded, and his boots carried the marks of long rides across open fields. Luke had seen many things in his life. Hard seasons, lost cattle, empty nights. He had learned to keep his feelings quiet, the way the land had taught him. But when his eyes fell on Ayla standing on the platform, something changed. He did not know her story, but he recognized the look in her eyes. It was not weakness. It was defiance. The auctioneer's voice rose again, asking for higher bids. The crowd grew restless. Some men shook their heads, losing interest. The price stayed low. It felt wrong to Luke. He shifted his weight, unsure of himself. He had never raised his hand in such a place before. Ayla noticed him then. She saw the way he stood apart, not laughing, not shouting. His eyes were focused, thoughtful. For a brief moment, their eyes met. She did not look away. The auctioneer called again, his voice sharp with impatience. Silence followed. No one answered. Luke felt his chest tighten. Before he could think too much, he lifted his hand. $2. The words sounded small in the wide yard. Laughter followed quickly. Some men turned to look at Luke with surprise and mockery. The auctioneer paused, then shrugged. No one else spoke. The gavel came down hard against the wood. Sold. Ayla's heart pounded. She turned fully toward Luke, her eyes blazing. Anger rose to the surface, clear and sharp. "You will regret this," she said, her voice steady but strong. "I will not obey." The crowd grew quiet again, surprised by her courage. Luke did not answer right away. He stepped forward slowly, ignoring the stares around him. When he reached the platform, he met her gaze. "I did not buy you to own you," he said quietly. His voice was calm, not demanding. "I bought you so you could leave this place." Ayla studied his face, searching for lies. She found none, but trust did not come easily. She said nothing as the auctioneer untied her hands and pushed her forward without care. Luke paid the small amount and turned away from the platform. He walked toward the edge of the yard, expecting her to follow or to run. He did not reach for her. He did not command her. For a moment, Ayla stood still. Freedom was close, but fear held her back. She had learned that promises often hid traps. Still, staying was worse. She took a slow breath and followed him. They walked through the crowd in silence. People whispered as they passed. Outside the yard, Luke stopped near his horse, a calm brown mare tied to a post. He turned to face Ayla. "You can go wherever you want," he said. "You do not owe me anything." Ayla looked at the open road beyond the town. It stretched far and empty. She had no money, no map, and no clear path home. Her pride told her to leave. Her sense told her to stay, at least for now. "I will go when I choose," she said firmly. Luke nodded. "That is fair." The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the ground. In that moment, both of them understood that this meeting was not an end. It was a beginning, shaped by choice, not chains. The road outside the town was long and quiet, stretching across dry land with small bushes scattered on both sides. The sun was slowly moving down, turning the sky soft orange. Luke walked beside his horse, holding the rope loosely. Ayla followed a few steps behind him. Neither of them spoke. The silence between them was heavy but not sharp. Ayla watched Luke carefully as they walked. He did not look back often, but when he did, his eyes were calm. He did not rush her. He did not try to speak over her thoughts. That made her uneasy in a different way. She was used to loud voices and forceful hands. Quiet kindness felt strange. After some distance, Luke stopped near a small stream. The water moved slowly, clear enough to see stones at the bottom. He tied the horse to a tree and sat on a flat rock. He took out a small cloth bag and removed some bread. "You should eat," he said, placing the bread on the rock between them. Ayla did not move right away. Hunger pulled at her, but caution held her back. She studied the bread, then Luke. He stepped away a little, giving her space. That small action mattered more than words. She picked up the bread and ate slowly. It tasted simple, but it filled the empty space in her stomach. As she ate, memories of the past weeks returned. The long ride in a wagon. The rough hands that pushed her forward. The cold nights. She forced those thoughts away and focused on the sound of the water. When she finished, she wiped her hands on her dress and looked at Luke again. "Why did you do it?" she asked. "Why pay for me?" Luke took a deep breath before answering. "I lost someone once," he said. "I could not help them when it mattered. I promised myself I would not look away again." Ayla listened, her face unreadable. Pain came in many forms, she knew that well. They continued walking until the land began to change. Low hills rose ahead, and the air felt cooler. As night came closer, Luke led them toward a small cabin made of wood and stone. It stood alone near a group of trees, simple but strong. "This is where I live," Luke said. "You can stay tonight. Tomorrow, you decide what comes next." The cabin was quiet inside. A small table stood near the wall, and a fireplace rested in the corner. Luke lit a lamp and placed it on the table. Soft light filled the room. Ayla stood near the door, ready to leave if needed. Luke noticed and moved slowly, careful not to alarm her. "I will sleep outside," he said. "You take the bed." She frowned slightly. "Why?" "Because you do not trust me yet," he replied. "And that is fair." She did not thank him. She only nodded once. That night, Ayla lay on the bed but did not sleep much. Every sound made her tense. The wind outside. The shifting of trees. At some point, she heard Luke move near the door, then settle down outside. Knowing he kept his word allowed her eyes to close at last. Morning came quietly. Light entered through the small window, warming the room. Ayla sat up slowly. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then everything returned. She stepped outside. Luke was already awake, feeding the horse. He turned when he heard her. "There is water by the stream," he said. "And food on the table." She washed her face in the cool water, letting it clear her thoughts. When she returned, Luke was fixing a loose strap on his saddle. "I need to go to town later," he said. "If you want to leave, this is the best time." Ayla looked toward the hills. She knew the direction of her homeland, but not the path. The land between was wide and uncertain. "I will stay for now," she said. Luke nodded again. No questions. No smile. The days that followed were quiet. Ayla helped where she could, carrying water, cleaning, and watching the land. Luke worked from sunrise to sunset. He never gave her orders. When he needed help, he asked. At night, they sat by the fire and spoke little. Sometimes Ayla shared small stories of her home. Luke listened without interruption. Other times, silence filled the space, comfortable and calm. One afternoon, riders appeared near the edge of the land. Dust rose behind them. Ayla noticed first. "Who are they?" she asked. Luke's face grew serious. "Men who do not like losing what they believe belongs to them." Ayla felt her chest tighten. The past reached out again, trying to pull her back. Luke turned to her. "If they ask, you are here by choice." She met his eyes. "I am." The riders approached slowly, watching the cabin and the land. Luke stepped forward, steady and calm. Ayla stood beside him, her shoulders straight. The men spoke with sharp voices, asking questions. Luke answered simply. No anger. No fear. After some tense moments, the riders turned away, their interest fading. When the dust settled, Ayla let out a breath she had been holding. "They will come again," she said. "Maybe," Luke replied. "But next time, we will be ready." As the sun set, Ayla realized something had changed inside her. For the first time since her capture, she felt something close to safety. Not because the world had softened, but because she had chosen where to stand. The morning after the riders left felt heavier than usual. The land looked the same, the sky clear, the hills quiet, but the air carried tension. Ayla woke early and stepped outside the cabin. The grass was wet with dew, and the horse lifted its head when it saw her. She placed her hand on the fence and looked toward the distant road. Luke was already awake. He was checking his tools and repairing a broken board near the stable. His movements were steady, but his eyes kept scanning the land. He knew those riders had not come by accident. Ayla walked closer. "They did not believe you," she said. Luke nodded. "Men like that only hear what they want." She crossed her arms. "They think I belong to them." "They are wrong," Luke replied calmly. "No one belongs to anyone." His words settled deep inside her. Still, fear had not fully left. She remembered how quickly safety could be taken away. As the day moved on, Luke showed her how to work the land. He explained how to care for the horse and how to fix small things around the cabin. He never spoke down to her. Every lesson felt like an invitation, not a command. Ayla learned fast. Her hands were strong from years of helping her people. She found comfort in simple tasks. Each small success made her stand a little taller. In the afternoon, Luke left to check the far edge of his land. Ayla stayed near the cabin, collecting firewood. The quiet gave her time to think. She wondered what her family would think if they saw her now. Free but far from home. Safe but still uncertain. As she bent to pick up a branch, she heard a sound behind her. Footsteps. She turned quickly. One of the riders stood near the trees. He had come alone, his face unreadable. Her heart raced, but she did not step back. "You should not be here," she said. The man looked around, then back at her. "You cost some people money," he replied. "That makes trouble." "I am not trouble," Ayla said firmly. "I am free." The rider stepped closer. That is not how others see it. Before he could say more, Luke appeared from behind the cabin. He held a tool in his hand, not raised, but ready. His eyes were sharp. She told you to leave, Luke said. Now go. The rider hesitated, measuring the situation. He saw the way Ayla stood her ground and the way Luke placed himself between them. After a moment, he turned and walked away. When the sound of footsteps faded, Ayla felt her knees weaken. Luke noticed and spoke softly. You did well, he said. I was afraid, she admitted. So was I, Luke replied. Courage does not mean no fear. It means standing anyway. That night, Ayla could not sleep. She sat outside, staring at the stars. Luke joined her quietly. You can still leave, he said. I will help you find the road home. She shook her head slowly. Not yet. He did not press further. Days passed. The riders did not return, but the memory of them lingered. Ayla began training herself, waking early, running across the hills, strengthening her body. Luke watched with quiet respect. One evening, a storm rolled in. Wind pushed against the cabin, and rain fell hard. Thunder echoed across the land. Ayla flinched at the sound, memories rising again. Luke noticed and lit the fire. Storms pass, he said. They always do. She sat closer to the warmth. The firelight danced across the walls, softening the shadows. You are different from the others, Ayla said suddenly. Luke looked at her. So are you. She thought about his words long after he went to sleep. The next morning brought clear skies and a sense of resolve. Ayla felt something new growing inside her. Not just safety, but purpose. I want to learn to defend myself, she told Luke. He studied her face, then nodded. I can teach you what I know. They trained every day after that. Luke showed her how to read the land, how to move quietly, how to stay aware. Ayla practiced with focus and determination. Each lesson gave her confidence. One afternoon, while training near the hills, Ayla stopped suddenly. She listened, then pointed toward the distance. Someone is watching, she said. Luke followed her gaze and saw movement near the rocks. He smiled slightly. You are learning fast, he said. That evening, Ayla stood at the edge of the land, looking toward the horizon. The road still waited. Her home was still far away. But she no longer felt lost. She turned back toward the cabin, toward the life she was building by choice. Whatever came next, she would face it standing strong.